The music industry in the 1970s did something cruel. It took the most gifted artists of a generation,
How sweet it used to be.
people with voices that could rearrange your whole heart, and it used them up and moved on. No farewell, no legacy deals, no tribute tours, just silence where there used to be a name on the radio every weekend.
I can think of younger days.
Tonight, we're going back for 10 of them. 10 R&B legends who ruled the 70s and then disappeared from the conversation like they were never there. This is their record being set straight and stay until the end, because one artist on this list won a Grammy, sold over 1 million copies, and today most people under 45 have never heard their name. That story is coming. Don't move. Number 10, Bobby Caldwell. What You Won't Do for Love, 1978. Radio stations loved his voice. They just didn't want you to see his face. Bobby Caldwell was a white singer raised in Miami who walked into TK Records in 1978 with a voice that sounded like it had lived 3 black lives. The label knew what they had. They also knew the risk. So they made a decision. No press photos, no television, just the record. When it hit R&B radio, program directors added it to their Quiet Storm playlists immediately, assuming the artist was black.
I came back to let you know.
But here's what nobody tells you. When Caldwell finally started performing live, the truth came out, and some stations quietly pulled the record. It didn't matter. The song had already gone gold. The voice had already done what it was always going to do. You can't unhear a feeling. This is 11 p.m. with the windows cracked music. Somebody on your mind who doesn't know it yet. The city going quiet. Your heart doing the thing it does when you're too proud to call. The song hit number 9 on the Billboard Hot 100, number 6 on the R&B chart. Tupac sampled it in 1998 for Do for Love. The Notorious B.I.G. sampled another Caldwell track for Sky's the Limit. Bobby Caldwell died March 14th, 2023. After his death, the song went to number 1 on the TikTok, Billboard Top 50.
My friends wonder what is.
The world found him again after he was already gone. One voice, one secret, a record that crossed every line radio tried to draw.
Before we continue, can I quickly say something on behalf of my wife? She's the one behind this channel, and she would never ask you for this herself, but I see everything. The late nights, the hours she spends bringing these songs back to life, just so someone out there can feel something again. And the part that really gets to me is this. Only about 10% of people watching are subscribed, so most people come here, enjoy it, feel the nostalgia, and then leave her behind. I'm not even saying this to make you feel bad, but yeah, it does hurt her. She just keeps going anyway. So I'm asking you, as her husband, if this channel has ever meant anything to you, even a little, please don't just watch and go. Take 1 second. Subscribe. It's free. But to her it means everything. It tells her she's not doing all this for nothing. All right, let's get back to the music.
Number 9, Minnie Riperton, Inside My Love, 1975. She
You can see inside me.
recorded her most intimate song while dying. Nobody in that studio knew. Minnie Riperton had a 5-octave vocal range that scientists genuinely struggled to explain. By 1974, she had also received a diagnosis she chose to keep private.
You can see inside me. Will you come and see?
Breast cancer. She had a husband. She had 2 young children, including a toddler named Maya, and she went back into the studio anyway, because that was who she was. But here's the part that breaks you. Inside My Love was produced by Stevie Wonder under the pseudonym El Toro Negro. He had co-written her #1 hit Loving You,
The whole world.
partly as a lullaby, a melody to calm baby Maya during recording sessions when the infant got restless. That baby grew up to be Maya Rudolph, the comedian, the actress, Saturday Night Live. She was the reason the song existed. She just didn't know it yet. This is the sound of loving someone so carefully,
So willing.
you're afraid to breathe too loud. Late afternoon light through curtains, holding something fragile with both hands and already knowing it won't last. Minnie became a public face of the American Cancer Society while privately carrying a terminal prognosis. She died in July 1979. She was 31 years old. One voice science couldn't explain, one secret carried into every session. Silence at 31. Number 8, Bill Withers, Lovely Day. 1977. He installed aircraft parts at a Boeing factory in Los Angeles. Then he became one of the greatest songwriters who ever lived. He did both at the same time for 2 full years. Bill Withers didn't start recording until he was 32. Didn't trust the music industry. Kept his day job after Lean on Me charted, just in case. Lovely Day was built on a moment of pure gratitude, and that held note in the chorus. 4 full seconds on a single word was not planned. Withers held it because the feeling wasn't finished. Producers nearly cut it. They thought radio wouldn't air it. The song hit #1 in the UK. In 1978, then again in 1988, a decade apart, same held note, same feeling. He walked away from the industry in 1985 voluntarily, said he didn't like what it was becoming, raised his family, turned down almost everything, died quietly in March 2020. The world spent the next year playing Lean on Me on front porches during a pandemic. He would have appreciated the meaning and hated the attention simultaneously. One factory worker, one 4-second accident, one of the most perfect songs ever made. Number 7, Marlena Shaw, Woman of the Ghetto. 1969. She sang the most honest song of the decade. The decade ignored her. Marlena Shaw recorded for Cadet Records, the chess label family, at a time when the industry wanted its women packaged and safe. She was neither. Her voice could move from a whisper to a thunderclap in a single breath, and she used it to say things the industry would have preferred she kept to herself. Woman of the Ghetto was not a protest song. It was a witness statement. She performed it live with the urgency of a Sunday morning sermon, holding the mic like a woman who had nothing left to lose and everything still to say. Common sampled the intro on I Used to Love H.E.R. in 1994.
Listen to me, legislate.
One of the most celebrated hip-hop records ever made. He heard what the mainstream missed. This is not background music. This is the song playing in your chest when you've been looked through one too many times and you've finally decided you're done being invisible. Marlena Shaw performed into her 70s, still sharp, still fierce, still criminally underknown. She passed away in January 2024 at 81. Her obituaries were too short. They were always too short. One testimony, 5 decades of being overlooked. The song still finds whoever needs it. If these stories are landing, drop a comment right
Listen to me, legislate.
now. Which one hit you first? We're not even halfway through, and what's coming is heavier. The top 6 are the records that still make grown people pull their car over. 1% of people watching this are subscribed. 99 out of 100 keep coming back and still haven't hit the button.
How do
Subscribing costs nothing, but it means you'll never miss the moments that remind you who you were when that record first played. Hit it, stay with us. Number 6, Leon Haywood, Don't
Set me on to full along.
Push It, Don't Force It. 1980, Dr. Dre made millions off this groove. Leon Haywood made a footnote. Leon Haywood was a Houston-born multi-instrumentalist who spent the 1960s as a session musician, backing Sam Cooke, working the rooms that built the sound. By 1980, he had turned patience itself into a philosophy and pressed it into vinyl. Don't Push It, Don't Force It hit number 2 on the R&B chart. Warm, unhurried, certain, like a man who already knows where he stands. Then in 1992, Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg sampled it for nothing but a G-thang. The lead single from The Chronic, one of the highest selling rap albums in history. The sample was cleared, royalties paid, but an entire generation grew up feeling that bass line and had no idea there was a man from Houston who laid it down 12 years earlier for a song about not rushing love. This is grown people in the kitchen music. Nobody performing, nobody trying, just 2 people moving around each other like they've done this 1,000 times and still find it easy. Leon Haywood died in 2016. His obituaries were short. His groove is still everywhere. 1 groove, 2 generations. The man gets a footnote. The sample gets a Grammy. Number 5, Syreeta Wright, To Know You Is to Love You, 1972.
otherwise I really might go home with you tonight.
Stevie Wonder produced the most tender song of her career while their marriage was ending. Syreeta Wright was a secretary at Motown in 1968 when Stevie Wonder heard her singing at her desk. They married in 1970. He was 20. She was 22. He produced
Ain't going nowhere.
her debut, played most of the instruments himself, placed every note like he was afraid to disturb something fragile. By the time the album was finished, the marriage was fracturing under the weight of 2 enormous creative spirits
Otherwise I really might go home with you tonight.
in one impossible orbit. Here's the heartbreak. This song was not written about the beginning of their love. It was written inside the terrifying middle of it, when you still love someone completely, but cannot figure out how to stay. Stevie didn't talk about it for decades. They
Ain't going nowhere.
divorced in 1972. Same year the album dropped. He kept producing for her anyway, kept writing for her. Syreeta Wright died of breast cancer in 2004. Stevie Wonder was at her bedside. Some loves
Otherwise I really might go home with you tonight.
don't end. They just change shape. One marriage, one masterpiece, a love that outlasted the ending by 30 years. Number 4, Clarence Carter. Patches, 1970. A blind man sang the most devastating father-son story ever pressed into vinyl, and people thought it was his real life. Clarence Carter was born blind in Montgomery, Alabama in 1936. He graduated from Alabama State University with a degree in music. He taught himself guitar by listening to Lightnin' Hopkins records. In 1970, he heard Patches on a Chairman of the Board LP and said, "I liked it, but I had my own ideas about how it should be sung. I wanted to make it sound real natural." Producer Rick Hall initially pushed back, worried about a black artist recording a song so rooted in Southern sharecropper imagery. Carter recorded it anyway at Fame Studios in Muscle Shoals. One take. It hit number 4 on the Hot 100. Number 2 on the R&B chart, sold over 1 million copies, won the Grammy for Best R&B Song in 1971. And here's what lands hardest. Carter later said he sometimes felt like a fraud. Because fans wrote him letters for years, praising his strength, his sacrifice, his dedication to family. The story wasn't his, but his voice made it so real that people lived inside it as though it was. This is the song that makes you think about your parents before you're ready to. The part of you that still feels like a child in a grown-up's body, hoping somebody left instructions. Clarence Carter is 89 years old, still alive. In 2021, he received a Music Achievement Award from the Alabama Music Hall of Fame. Most people under 45 have never heard his name. One Grammy, one take. A man who couldn't see, who made you feel everything. Number 3, The Chai Lights. Have you seen her?
She'll be back, but today, again I ride.
1971. This song starts with a
After day I've tried, I keep saying,
man talking to himself on a street corner. Radio played it anyway. Eugene Record wrote it about a real breakup, one that hadn't healed the way he told people it had. The spoken word opening was not a creative device. It was a man who had to say the thing before he could sing it. Brunswick Records wanted to cut the intro. Radio programmers called it too slow, too unconventional. Eugene Record refused to change a single word. The song spent 2 weeks at number 1 on the R&B chart, crossed over to number 3 on the pop chart in 1971. MC Hammer sampled it in 1990. There are teenagers alive today who know that sample and have never heard the original.
but it still doesn't ease my pain.
That particular irony is its own kind of heartbreak. This is the sound of a month passing and still seeing her in strangers, still looking up when someone laughs like she did, still finding her in the wrong silhouette a block ahead, gone before you can get close enough to be sure.
After day I've tried, I keep saying...
Eugene Record died in 2005. The spoken words he almost had to fight to keep are the reason the song is immortal. One spoken word gamble. 2 weeks at number 1, a heartbreak that's been borrowed ever since. Number 2, Ann Peebles. I Can't Stand the Rain, 1973.
Against my window.
She wrote one of the most sampled songs in history in a single afternoon. Most people still can't name her. Ann Peebles was born in 1947, the 7th of 11 children, raised in her father's church in St. Louis.
Just one sound that
She came to Memphis in 1968, sang in a club on a whim, and producer Willie Mitchell signed her on the spot. She recorded for High Records, same label, same studio, same producer
Against my window.
as Al Green. In 1973, during an actual rainstorm, she sat down with her boyfriend, Don Bryant, and radio DJ Bernard Miller, and the song arrived almost fully formed. John Lennon once called it the best song ever written.
You remember?
She was 25 years old when she recorded it. It hit number 6 on the R&B chart, number 38 on the pop chart. Tina Turner covered it. Missy Elliott built The Rain, Super Duper Fly, from its bones. It has been sampled over 40 times across 5 decades. Ann Peebles married Don Bryant, the man who wrote it with her in that rainstorm. After High Records closed in 1979,
You remember?
she stepped back to raise her family. She suffered a stroke in 2012 and has not performed since. She was inducted into the Memphis Music Hall of Fame in 2014. She gave the world a song that outlived her career, and most people couldn't pick her face from a lineup. One afternoon, one rainstorm, one of the most borrowed sounds in the history of recorded music. Number 1. Al Green, How Can You Mend a Broken Heart? 1972. He took a Bee Gees song and turned it into the most devastating question soul music ever asked. The Bee Gees wrote and recorded it first in 1971. It charted modestly. It was fine. Then Willie Mitchell at High Records in Memphis heard it, slowed it down by nearly a third, stripped everything that wasn't essential, and handed it to a man who was genuinely, privately broken. A relationship had ended. The deep kind. The kind that takes the floor out. Al Green walked into that studio with it still inside him, and nobody told him to leave it at the door. He sang it in 2 takes. Willie Mitchell later said the silence in that room was unlike anything he had ever experienced in a session. Engineers stopped moving. Nobody wanted to break what was happening.
Was everything
The song hit number 8 on the pop chart, number 2 on the R&B chart in 1972. It has been covered more than 200 times. And here is what I promised. You at the top of this video, this record, written as a question, recorded in genuine grief, never intended as anything other than an expression of loss, became one of the most played slow dance songs at wedding receptions and through the 1970s. Not because it was happy, because couples chose it as a vow, because mending was what they were deciding to do, an accident of meaning so perfect that only real art can produce it. This is 2 a.m. and out of words music. When the
I can think of you.
question isn't rhetorical anymore. When you've tried everything you know and you're standing in the dark, wondering if heartbreak is just your new address. Most people know, let's stay together. Fewer know this one.
When living for my life.
The record where Al Green asked the question the whole decade was secretly carrying. And nobody answered. And the silence became the point. And the song became immortal. Al Green is still alive, still preaching at Full Gospel Tabernacle in Memphis, Tennessee. The voice that broke 1,000 hearts is still in the building. One question. 2 takes, 200 covers, no answer. That's exactly why it lasts. 10 artists, 10 records, 10 different ways of saying, I felt something so real I had no choice but to turn it into music and send it out into the world, hoping someone on the other side felt it too. The 1970s gave us R&B that didn't flinch. These artists built something that outlasted the recognition they never received. The grooves got sampled, the melodies got covered, the names got forgotten. That's the part that should bother all of us. Which one hit you the hardest tonight? Drop it in the comments, and if there's a name you think should have been on this list, put them there. This is a conversation, not a verdict. This is RNB, Vinyl Nights. Stay soulful. I'll see you on the next one.